Imagine a world without a single electric bulb, matchstick, or lighter. A world where, when the sun set, darkness wasn't just a mood, it was a danger. In this world, fire was not just warmth, it was life itself. But for prehistoric humans, making fire was not as easy as striking a match. They had to invent it, from nothing. For early humans, fire was more than a tool. It was protection from predators, a way to cook food, a light in the darkness, and a gathering place for communities. It kept them alive during freezing winters and gave them a huge evolutionary advantage over other species. But here's the challenge: fire doesn't just appear on command. Prehistoric people had to learn the science of nature without even knowing what science meant. Long before humans learned how to make fire, they discovered it. Lightning would strike a tree, igniting dry branches. Lava from volcanoes could set the landscape ablaze. Even a spark from a rockslide could start a wildfire. Early humans likely approached these flames with both fear and fascination. At first, they didn't know how to control it, but slowly they learned they could carry burning sticks from place to place, feeding them with dry grass and wood to keep the flames alive for days. This was the first step keeping fire. The next step was learning how to create it. It probably took thousands of years for humans to figure out how to make fire from scratch. There were two main methods: friction and spark making. The most ancient and widespread method was rubbing wood against wood. The principle is simple. When you rub two pieces of dry wood together fast enough, the friction creates heat. With enough speed and pressure, that heat turns into an ember. The hand drill method used a straight stick spun between the palms, pressing into a small hole in a wooden base. Dry plant material like grass, bark, or leaves called tinder was placed nearby. When the wood dust turned to a glowing ember, it was dropped into the tinder and blown into flame. Later, the bow drill method made the process easier by using a bow-shaped stick with a string to spin the drill much faster. Both methods required incredible patience, skill, and the right materials. Wet wood or damp tinder meant failure. Early humans became experts in selecting the driest, lightest wood and preparing their tinder in advance. Another prehistoric technique was creating sparks by striking stones together, usually flint against iron, rich rocks like pyrite. The collision would chip off tiny hot metal particles which could land on tinder and ignite it. When flint hits pyrite, the pyrite releases sparks. Those sparks were caught in dry grass, fungi, or shredded bark. This method was especially useful in areas where good flint and pyrite were abundant, and it worked even in colder climates. Over time, people learned to carry pieces of flint and pyrite in small pouches so they could start a fire whenever needed. You can't make fire without something to catch it. Prehistoric humans learned to prepare tinder carefully. They used dry moss, shredded bark, fine grass, animal dung, and even special fungi like amadou from horse hoof fungus. Tinder had to be bone dry and fluffy so it could catch a tiny spark or ember and turn it into a flame. Once the flame was lit, the real work began: feeding it, protecting it from wind and rain, and making sure it didn't die. Many groups kept a firekeeper, a person whose job was to make sure the camp's fire never went out. If it did, they'd have to start from scratch again. Fire became central to prehistoric life. People sat around it to cook, to share stories, and to make tools under better light. It scared away wolves and big cats at night, and the smoke even kept away biting insects. The ability to make fire changed human evolution. Cooking made food easier to chew and digest, giving our ancestors more nutrition and energy. Warmth allowed humans to live in colder climates. Light extended the day, making social bonds stronger and communication richer. Fire also influenced human imagination. Some anthropologists believe that staring into the flames encouraged storytelling, planning, and creative thinking, all vital parts of becoming truly human. By the time modern humans emerged around 200 years ago, firemaking was already a skill passed down through generations. Different regions developed their own techniques based on available materials. Over time, firemaking tools became more refined, leading to the discovery of matches in the 19th century and, eventually, the lighters we use today. But the roots of all that technology go back to those first moments when our ancestors rubbed sticks together or struck stones to make sparks in the darkness. So the next time you light a candle or strike a match, remember you're holding a piece of prehistory in your hands. You're repeating an action that helped humans conquer the cold, the dark, and the wild. Without fire, we might never have become who we are today, and to think it all started with a spark.